But as you most of you know, session is Real Talk with Russell. It came out of just me talking and just real talk. It was Ken actually who was in there earlier who actually named it Real Talk with Russell. And we just deal with some real issues. You got some of it in the stream while the game was going on, but I wanted to continue with that. One of the things I wanted to talk about are these walls and barriers that we put up. We have an innate nature to protect ourselves, right? We want to be protected because that's a part of survival. Being protected is a part of being able to survive, and so we have these walls that we erect and construct to protect ourselves. And then the experiences that we have throughout our life either help to solidify those walls, or they may allow us to some degree either tear them down or put in a window or a door. What's up, Ivan? You're catching us right at Real Talk time. As I've stated before, we're pushing for supporters. If you haven't, check out the link there and hang out there for 90 seconds. If you haven't, hang out there for 90 seconds. Come back. We'll still be here for 90 seconds at least. And then, you'll be a returning viewer. But we erect these walls, and some experiences cause us to fortify them. Some of them cause us to, again, put windows and doors, so at least we can see out, and that at least gives people an opportunity to view in to our lives. We have to be careful with those. And I said this earlier because of the fact that, sure, this person A may have been horrible to me, and I built this castle, but person B has a genuine heart, has my best interest at heart, but the only way they can be successful in what it is that they're trying to do is if they are able to come inside of this fortified structure. And we can't be so fortified, we can't be so protected, so guarded, that we don't understand the difference between person A and person B. Granted, it is very difficult not to look through the lens of hurt. It is very difficult. I don't have any glasses around here. It is very difficult not to look through the lens of hurt, of pain, of disappointment, of any of those things. But there comes a time where we have to take all of that. As difficult as it is, I'm not saying it's easy. You take all that and you have to actually set it aside. Not get over it. It's not what I'm saying. Not get over it. Set it aside to see people for what they actually are. Because again, if you see me through the lens of your hurt, you won't see me for who I am. Think about it like the mirrors that you see like at carnivals and things like that distort the image. And so where I might be narrow and skinny, the mirror portrays me as being wide. And so you don't see me as I am. You see me as whatever that is. And then we respond to that. We respond to what we see rather than what actually is, which could cause us to have wrong responses. And there are some people who attempted to be in our lives and we pushed them away. Was it intention? Did we intend to push them away? We did, right? We did intend to push them away, but that's because we were looking through the wrong lenses. Had we been looking through the actual lenses just plain, we would not have intentionally pushed them away, but it was our intent to stay guarded. It was our intent to stay protected. And that superseded anything that they would have said. It superseded anything that they would have done. Because we had to be so guarded, we had to be so secluded within our fortified structure. Being in a relationship, no matter what kind it is, whether it's a romantic kind, whether it's a friendship, requires a degree of vulnerability. You do have to be vulnerable at some point if you want any type of relationship. I was going to say sorry, but I'm not. You absolutely, positively have to be vulnerable in order to have connections. Think of it this way. A vulnerability in your house could be the outlet, right? I mean, if you put the right thing in an outlet, you could start a fire. You could burn that bad boy to the ground. However, it is that same vulnerability that gives you power. It is that same vulnerability that allows you to make connections for me to even do what I'm doing right now. Because if I couldn't plug anything in, you wouldn't see me. You wouldn't. None of this would be happening. And then you have to take a chance, right? I don't know about you, but I plugged into an outlet and it sparked, and I was terrified that something was going to happen. I took a risk. I took the chance, the off chance that it may not work. I took a chance where this could be really bad. I mean, what if there's a short? I get electrocuted. You know, what it sparks. Now there's fire in the wall. There's nothing I can really do about that. I got to tear the wall down in order to get to that fire. But usually, typically, when you plug things in, you have a connection. And so having those kind of relationships, period, actually require a degree of vulnerability. They also require a degree of risk. Now, these risks should be carefully evaluated. What I'm not saying is you just go with everything. I'm not saying that, but you do have to understand that there is a degree of vulnerability involved in relationships. And once you have carefully considered the risk, you then need to determine, do the benefits outweigh the risk? We typically understand that plugging something into an outlet, the benefit is that whatever we want plugged in gets power. Our computers, our laptops, our phones, our TVs, our game systems, our stove, our dishwasher, our whatever needs power. We plug those things in because the benefit is we get to use them. They're convenient for our lives. They give us more accesses. They do all kinds of things. Sometimes not once considering this could blow up. I mean, think. In my house, I have natural gas for heat. So that means at some point, something electric is interacting with natural gas. It's a very volatile situation, right? But I don't think twice. I'm cold, adjust the heat. I hear it come on. Hope all is well. The risk of it being terrible outweighs the fact that I'll be warm. And so, and I can go with that, Scott. Difference between risk itself and it being risky. That's real good. Because if we're honest, everything in life requires a degree of risk. Everything. Even staying in your house, just not doing it, it's still nothing is guaranteed. But the thing we're talking about is relationships and building these and constructing and erecting these walls. And so some of us need to take some real time. What's up, Kit Kat? Some of us need to take some real time to decipher where our walls came from. We need to take the time to evaluate why our walls were constructed. Who, what provoked the erection of these walls? Provoked the construction of these walls? Who? What? What situation? What circumstance? What experience? Because then what happens is we build this wall so it doesn't happen again. But then do we really deal with the situation itself and its effects? A lot of times we build the wall so it doesn't happen again, and we leave the situation there, but we don't deal with it because all we know is we don't want it to happen again. And so then we go around. I mentioned this earlier. We go around with this weight, with this baggage, and we're suffering literally. And to some degree, we're suffering with this that we deal with because of the fact that we haven't actually dealt with it. And then at some point we'll feel better, but that's a lot of times just a means of suppression, and we feel better because nothing has happened that would provoke, or invoke those feelings again. And so since we haven't dealt with it and nothing's come back from it, we think we're okay. All it takes is something simple that reminds us of it, and we're right back there again. It could be something as simple as something you see on TV, and bam, there you are again. Perfect example. I went to Afghanistan in 2018 and 2019, and one of the experiences that I had, which is something that I'll never forget. We were standing, we were on a mission, and we were standing outside of a FOB, a forward operating base, on a mission, and we were setting up a fuel point. And because of the way the base was set up, the fuel point had to be outside of the base. We were actually at an international airport. Blows my mind. And so we are standing outside. We're outside, setting up the fuel point, and the fuel point is ready. We've got it set up. It's full. This fuel point currently has 20,000 gallons of fuel, jet fuel for the aircraft. Cool. No problem. Suddenly, you hear something that sounds like, and I don't even know what I can equate it to. What can I equate it to? Yes, a jet flying past. What was it? It was a rocket that had been fired at us. And by the time we heard it, it was exploding. To give you maybe a relative distance, if you stand in one corner of your average bedroom and look towards the opposite corner, that's how close it was. It wasn't way off in the distance. It wasn't, I need binoculars. If you stand in one corner of a typical bedroom and look towards the opposite corner, where you're looking, the opposite corner is where it impacted from where I was standing. It was not far at all. I felt the ground shake where I was standing. It was at that point that I had to literally run for my life because we didn't know it, but there were 6 more on the way. I had to run from, now mind you, had it been just a hair closer, had it been just a little bit closer, 20,000 gallons of fuel. 20,000 gallons of fuel. You wouldn't be watching it drop the hammer stream at this point. There wouldn't be much left, if anything left, for 20,000 gallons of jet fuel to go up, to explode. Where am I going with this? Because of that, sound association is something that I struggle with. Something goes boom, and not things that happen here. Not a bad flute, not a bang, not somebody yelling, but things that go boom. I had a situation. It would send me into a panic attack. Almost send me into a panic, because in my mind, somebody's trying to kill me. Somebody's trying to blow me up again. And so it took time, it took help to disattach the sound from the experience. It took time. I had to deal with the fact that loud sounds did something to me. I had to deal with that. Because by the time it happened, what's up, Earl? By the time it happened, it set me in a place where then everything would do it. 4th of July, I hated it for a few years. I hated the 4th of July. The days before and the days after, I hated it. Why? It's just boom after boom after boom after boom. Now I'm on edge. And then it got to be that everything would do it. Once I got to that point, everything did it. For example, I was out somewhere and there is this organization. They put air back in the metal, the tall metal containers. And they were, at some point they drained them, and it's a really loud, basically hissing sound. Well, I was unprepared for that. And they did it, doing that job. It set me off. And so I still had to drive home. I drove home. And so I got in the house. I closed the door because I had my son with me. I closed the door. You come in the house, you unlock the door. I closed the door and it scared me. I watched myself close the door, but I was so on edge that it scared me. So I go in the bathroom because there's one downstairs to kind of get myself together. So I'm leaning over the sink. I put my phone down, leaning over the sink. It vibrates. Jump 2-3 feet off the ground just from my phone vibrating on the shelf, on the counter. So I come out of the bathroom, which leads to the kitchen. The ice in the freezer. The ice machine made the ice, dumped it. It dumps it into the tray. Awful. I didn't sleep that night. But my point is, I had to take the time to actually deal with that, because for a long time I didn't, and it sent me into a depression like no other. Because my thing was, why? What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? Why can't I get past this? Because I'm Russell. I should be able to do better than this. I'm the guy that helps people out. I'm the one who somehow has something to say to encourage somebody. Why can I not do this? It's because I needed some assistance. And so I got help. Still, I don't mind telling you, talk to a psychiatrist at least once a month. According to the VA, I am 70% disabled as a result of post-traumatic stress disorder. PTSD, 70% disabled as a result of that. And then there's another weird 10%, that's really 20%, but that's something different. But legally disabled because of these experiences. That wasn't the only one. That's just the biggest one. However, I took the time to deal with that. I took the time to make sure that I could get past that, because I had built up a wall. It was to the point that I didn't want to go anywhere. I just wanted to stay within my little circle of influence because I could control it. But I wasn't living. I was simply existing. And so, as I can do it in that sense, we all can do the same thing. We all can do the same thing. So take some real time. Take some real time to consider the barriers, the walls, whatever it is you want to call them. Take some real time to consider what they are, and then consider where they came from. And once you've done that, take some more time to say, who or what have I pushed away because of these walls that I've constructed? What have I missed in life because I refused it? The real hard truth is, it was intentional. You didn't want it. We didn't want it because of our walls, because of our experience. Whatever was being offered, whatever that was being presented, we didn't want it. And that's a hard pill to swallow. All that we could have had, we didn't want it because of what we dealt with, because of what we experienced. Because we didn't want to be vulnerable enough to receive that. And so, two things I'll say from there. One, deal with your situations. You really deal with them, okay? There's nothing wrong with having a situation. There is something wrong with not dealing with it. There is nothing wrong with having a situation. The wrong part of it is not dealing with it, not getting the help. There's help everywhere. And it may come from the least likely of sources. There is help everywhere. So seek it out. You've got to seek it out. You absolutely have to seek it out. And here's the thing, right? I get that even trying to find the help could be frustrating. I get that. But if you really want to get the help, you'll have to search for it. You'll really have to take the time to do that. And then when it comes to you, you got to accept it. Again, the pot calling the kettle black. You got to accept it. When it comes your way, you got to accept it. It's a hard truth for me to have to deal with because I'm so accustomed to having to be the one that gives. I'm so accustomed to being the one that takes on and gives out. And there aren't many times when I can take what I have and lay somewhere else for a break, for a breakthrough, for a relief. It just doesn't happen often. And I get that part of my responsibility, part of my purpose, part of my destiny is to do that. I get that. I've acknowledged that. I'm aware of that. But at the same time, I'm just as human as anybody else, right? I'm just as human as the next person. So I have my situation that I deal with as well. And so at some point, somebody has to be there to help shoulder the load because I've shouldered the load of others. So accept it. Do something about what you know is up. You know, and really take some time to evaluate the things that you do. We need to take the time to evaluate the things that we do, the way that we act, our behaviors, because there really is a reason. There really is. You know, it just doesn't just happen. It just doesn't just, oh my God, I just do this for no reason. No. There's a reason why we do things that we do. And if it's not conducive, if it's not constructive for you, you can't just stop. That makes sense. You know, people who tend to have addictions sometimes, not always. Usually there's something that triggered it. You know, maybe it's a replacement of something that they that they had that they're longing for. It's usually something like that. But they can't just stop. Thank you for that like also. They can't just stop because they haven't dealt with it. They haven't dealt with it at its root. So once you deal with these things at the root, all that sprang up from it will tend to wither. Because, I mean, think about plants. Destroy the root. What happens? You don't have any more plant. It's the plant that's pulling. It's the root of the plant pulling the nutrients from the soil that makes everything else grow. That's why we're tired. That's why we're exhausted. That's why we're mentally drained. These situations, these situations have taken root in us and they pull from us. They pull from us. And so everything that we have, everything that we do stems from there. And we're just trying to make it through. We're just doing our very best to hold on. Sometimes literally by a thread, we're doing our best to hold on. And sometimes it's unfortunate. Sometimes we let go. And that some people let go, and that results in what it results in. Some might be a mental breakdown. Some might be suicide. Some might be seclusion. For others, it's an addiction. For everybody, it's different. But a lot of times that is the letting go in whatever form it is. You don't have to let go. You don't have to let go, but you do have to let somebody in. The only way to not let go is to let somebody in, because if you could do it by yourself, you would have done it already. If you could do it on your own, you wouldn't even be at that point. So the fact that you're still there, the fact that we're still dealing with what we're dealing with, is a clear indication that we can't do it by ourselves. So I just choose to believe that there's somebody out there. There's something out there that was meant for your specific situation. Just how I choose to feel. Everybody doesn't feel that way. Doesn't mean that it's right. Doesn't mean, but that's just how I feel. I just really choose to believe. Perfect example. Some of the things that you all said you all needed came from me and that experience that I had. I didn't know that I was going to have that experience. I didn't know back in 2018 that I was going to be, August of 2018, that I would hear in February of 2020 be doing a Real Talk with Russell segment and telling that story and how I came through it. And I didn't know that at the time. At the time, I thought I was okay. Thought I was good at the time. It wasn't until I came home that I realized that I wasn't. So then it wouldn't have been a story to tell because I was good. Right? I'm good. Well, I wasn't. And so once I came to that realization that I really wasn't good, then I made some changes. And here I am today. A success story that you can come out. It goes back to rule number one. Rule number one, always expect to make it. Regardless of what happens, what goes on, always expect to make it. I thought that was just a Kaizo thing because I would make you all have seen, I think I'm not going to make it, I think I'm going to die, and I do, but then I would do that later. I would in the game unalive later because I wasn't expecting to go on. So always expect to make it. Always expect that this situation doesn't take you out because it doesn't have to. This circumstance is not going to be the end of it. I told somebody today, and we're getting out of here shortly. I told somebody today that everything we encounter, you can think of it as a stone. However, it's up to you to decide whether it's not a stone, a block. Whether you let it be a stumbling block or a building block. It's a block either way. But it is determining what it is. Because think about it. If you get a series of bricks, either you'll trip and fall over them or you'll build something with them. You build something to take you to a next level. You're not building a wall, but you're building something to help you progress. All right, take all that you experience. What's up, TJ? I see you, Chris. Take all that you've experienced and let it be a building block. Everything that you've experienced, all that you've gone through, and let it build you. But that's a personal choice. It's something that we have to do. We have to be in a place where we understand that we are in control of us, of how things go with situations. What's up, man? And so it's not until that we make the decision. The simple decision may be difficult to carry through or difficult to make the decision, but it's a simple decision. Am I going to get some help? Yes? No. It's no more complex than that. Either you will or you won't. All right? If you need help, reach out. There's plenty of resources to reach out. And so do that, right? Do that. And that's it. I could go on and on and on and on, and I don't want to. But as I always try to leave you with, take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. It is very important that you take care of yourself. Because you're no good to me if you can't take care of yourself. You absolutely cannot take care of me if you don't take care of yourself. All right? That's what's most important. Is to take care, because you matter. You matter. All right? And again, I am learning how to, what's up, man? I am learning how to care for myself much better than I have. Because I found that I don't do well with that. And so I'm learning to take better care of myself. Especially because I now understand the worth that I have. Because at times my worth was depreciated, and I said I was going to stop, and I felt less worthy than I actually was. And I found that that's not the case. I found that that's not the case. And part of that is because I put more worth. I up the value of my worth for myself. Because think about it. Money only has value because we say so. You can say, I want to give you $1 million, and I can opt that doesn't mean anything to me. I would rather have whatever, anything else. That's where the barter system came in, which money is still basically that. It's just a unified barter system. We all accept the same thing for something else. But I might think that goats are more important than money. And so your $100 million means nothing, but your 80 goats means the world. And so I assigned arbitrarily value to goats where you assigned it to money. Assign value to yourself. All right. And once you assign those things that you assign value to, you take care of. We value our cars, so we don't go run them into a tree intentionally. We like our houses, so we don't set them on fire. Those kind of things. So when you value yourself, you'll take care of yourself. Again, pot, kettle, black. I get it. But make sure you value yourself so that you do take care of yourself. Then, and only then, can you take care of somebody else. All right, I'm done. I'm not going to say another thing. I'm going to switch again. I got to stop this.